welcome back to Herky the Cavalier's channel. For today's video, I wanted to do something a bit different. That's why I'm outside and I don't know how the audio is gonna go, so you guys have to let me know if this is okay or if this is not okay. But I don't have any lighting in LA, and so the house that we're staying at is very not well lit because there's so much trees. So I thought this would be the best lighting that we could get. So that's why I'm sitting outside with the girls. But if you're new to our channel, hello and welcome. And for today's video, I wanted to address the most asked question on our channel. On all our videos, I get this question all the time, and that is, where did I get Herky and Milton? What breeder are they from? How to choose a breeder and everything. And so I just wanted to do a dedicated video addressing this subject because it's such a recurrent topic. Instagram and YouTube, we always get the same question regarding the breeder. And just because we have sort of an important number of followers, I don't feel comfortable disclosing where Herky and Milton are from exactly. I would just like to mention that they are not from an AKC registered breeder. So that's why I just feel more comfortable not disclosing that information, and I hope you can all respect that decision of ours. But I wanted to come on here and still address the topic of where to find Cavaliers, how to find a breeder and everything. Oh, and just a side note, since we're outside, I can't guarantee that Herky and Milton will stay beside me because there's so much more interesting smells. The thing with Cavaliers is that you may already know they have quite a lot of health issues, and you want to try to avoid that genetically as much as possible. So that's why it's always recommended, and the safest guideline is to find an AKC registered breeder. I'm going to list a link down in the description box below for Canada and US, and also international if I can find any links. But basically you want any canine club, association, website, and for breeder referrals. These registered breeders are very few, so please know that when you go with a registered breeder, the wait list can be very long, although there are some exceptions. So on those lists, you can usually go by state or by province if you're in Canada. Usually those breeders will have their own website, and they will list their puppy information, their females, their males, everything will be on their website. What usually happens also with registered breeders is that they will have health testings done with their Cavaliers. I'm going to talk specifically about Cavaliers just because we know them most. You want to make sure that there's health clearances on both the parents and even the grandparents. And the advantage of having a registered breeder is that you can go up the lineage, grandparents before that, and you can go up very far to know the actual origin of your Cavalier. And so most health clearances that you want to look out for is for the heart. You want the evaluations from cardiologists. You want orthopedic surgeons for the knees, for the hips, for the eyes, and you also want ideally an MRI to know if they have SM, syringomyelia, or not. If you're not familiar with syringomyelia, we have a full dedicated video on that we filmed with Arya and Jessica, so I'll be linking it up here. It's full of very useful information if you're not familiar with the topic, but that's a terrible disease affliction that Cavaliers have genetically, and if possible, you want to try to avoid that. So with all those health clearances, you're gonna lessen your chances that your Cavalier has these diseases, but of course this doesn't mean that your Cavalier is 100% not going to get any genetic diseases. We know some AKC registered dogs that have health issues too, so this doesn't mean that if you go with a registered breeder that your dog will be 100% free of that disease. It just makes it less probable that your dogs will not have these diseases. But that being said, Herky and Milton are also not from an AKC registered breeder, and they don't have SM, they don't have the heart disease so far, okay, knock on wood. They don't have those diseases so far. So when you find that breeder, actually what I would recommend is contacting multiple breeders. And I know even some people that contact some breeders from the other side of the country, and some people actually fly to go get their puppies. So you can just find a breeder that suits you well, because once you start emailing these breeders, you'll see that you don't necessarily click with everyone. There are some extensive interviewing process for certain breeders, and that might turn off a few people. Those breeders just want to make sure that their puppies that they care for so much go to good homes. So that's why they have extensive interview process, just because they want to make sure that the people that their puppies are going to are good people that are going to take care of their puppies and that actually really care about their dogs. what I would suggest is go on either one of these websites, contacting a lot of different breeders to like get to know them so that they get to know you. It doesn't even guarantee that when you get in touch with the breeder that they will choose you. So be patient. You know, I just want to warn you that you might have to talk to a few different breeders. It might take a lot of time, but be patient because it's totally worth it. It's not uncommon that the waitlist is 1 to 2 years for Cavalier. There are some exceptions, of course, but that's the general rule. As for pricing, of course, it can vary a lot. I've noticed that in Canada, usually registered Cavaliers go for about $2,500, whereas in the States, especially in California, they go for around $3,500 USD, which is quite steep as a price. But you have to understand that for the breeders, these prices cover everything, since they have to do so many health tests on their dogs, and they have to care for the puppies and for the dogs very well. It does cost a lot of money, and usually it's not very profitable, because if they are a responsible breeder, they won't breed their females every heat. So they'll breed them maximum once a year, just so the female doesn't get really tired and exhausted from the entire thing. So please know that whenever you contact a breeder of some sort, and if they reproduce their females every heat, I would try to stay away from those breeders. Usually breeders also hand over their puppies with health. Usually I think it's a year, that if ever you have the puppy for a year and something comes up, then as a responsible breeder, they would help you out with any of the bills. They would offer to take the puppy back if ever something happens. So those are signs that a breeder is a good breeder. Also, I would recommend, if you live close to the breeder, to always ask if you're able to come visit the mom and the dad, to see the environment, to meet the breeder in person, just to see if everything clicks, to see if you share the same values as them and everything. So that's also something that you could do in order to choose the right breeder for you. So the pro of going with a registered breeder is just because you want to make sure that the puppy that you're getting is from a good home, is from a safe environment, is from an ethical source. Usually that means that a registered breeder will check off all those criteria, but the most important thing is that when you have a purebred dog, you want to make sure that the lineage is disease-free. And for Cavaliers, this is especially important because they have horrible afflictions, and you want to make sure that the puppy that you're getting is healthy. This usually means that the registered breeder follow stricter protocols for breeding and health testing, just so the puppies have a higher chance of being disease-free. This also does not mean that if you go for a non-registered breeder, this does not mean that your puppy will automatically be unhealthy. Herky and Milton are a perfect example of that. They don't come from a registered breeder, but I'm also very happy with how everything turned out. I mean, yes, they do have the luxating patella issue, but they're asymptomatic, and this does not affect them on the day-to-day. Again, knock on wood. And so far, they don't have all the other diseases that we talked about. So for other breeder referrals, you can also join some Facebook groups. There's a lot of resources on Facebook that you can join. I'm going to be linking a few down below if you're interested in that. And there's also, of course, the Instagram community. There are so many knowledgeable people on Instagram that are ready to share their stories, and I get that question asked all the time on Instagram. So just know that there's a lot of resources if you want to talk about breeders and all that information. And a good thing also with registered breeders is that they love to keep in touch with you, and that's something that I regret not having with Herky and Milton. We're not very close with the breeder, so I don't know about Herky and Milton's siblings much. I did find some of their siblings through social media and Facebook and stuff, but I don't have a direct link with the breeder. Some breeders I know are so much fun. They do like yearly meetups with all their family calves, and all, like with litter meetups and everything, and that's so much fun because you can really see your pups with their siblings, and that's just something absolutely precious. So that's another big advantage of having a breeder that really cares about your pups. Also, I heard that there was a new protocol to try to avoid the mitral valve disease in Cavaliers. Usually, most of Cavaliers will get this disease by the time they're 5 years old, and that means that to be as sure and as safe as possible that the dog doesn't have the disease and that doesn't transmit it to puppies, that you should only breed dogs after the age of 5. So I don't know how widespread that is, but I did hear that recently. I think usually people start breeding their dogs at around 2 years old, and of course it's not recommended. It's really not recommended that you breed the dog as soon as they have their first heat, because the dog is not fully mature. So As soon as they're 2 years old, people usually start breeding them, but I think to be the safest that they have to wait until they're 5 years old. Street right there, Santa Monica, so it's a super busy street. But yeah, I'm gonna end the video here. If you do have any questions, leave them down below and I'll do my best to answer these questions. Again, this is a super popular question that we get asked all the time. That's why I wanted to do a dedicated video on it. So I thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we love you and we'll see you soon. Bye! Oh. Stay. Milton, come here. It's okay, it's okay. Come, Milton, come. Come here.